Hello, welcome. This is Amanda. And just as a reminder, if you like and comment on videos, you can really help the small businesses be able to get their videos seen by others. And then if you like what you see in the content, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Today I am walking through my versions of the Craft with Heart cards for May to August of 2021. And I'm showing you some of the additional products or supplies that I'm using in addition to what comes in the kit. So these are shaker element for rectangles, and they come in 3 sizes, and these come with the kit. So you can make 6 shaker elements, 2 of each of the 3 sizes, and then you get a whole bunch of foam dot squares that are in between all of the outlines that you use when you make the shaker windows. So a small black ink and then a different block than what I show come with the kit, but I swapped it out for another ink, so I'll keep the other black new and I'll give that away. Then you get these small stars in gold. The other tools that I'm going to use are I have the emery board, a shaping tool, scissors, glue. So the kit comes with the card bases separate with the envelopes, and I went ahead and punched everything out and just paired them up. I did go ahead and grab some gold thread that was in my stash. Close to My Heart sells gold thread, but I had this in my stash. And I also might use some of the shimmer brushes on my cards, and I was just showing you the different colors because I'm not sure if I'm going to use them or not. So this is card 1, and these daisy pieces are ones that if you subscribe to the card kits from me at my website, then I send you extra pieces to go with your cards to just kind of kick them up a notch. So I grabbed this background stamp because I don't know, I've just been feeling that I want to kind of branch out from clean lines. So that's what I was doing. I'm going to tape off the sides just so that it doesn't go onto the background paper, and I'm only going to be stamping on the inside of that square. And then I wanted a second generation stamping, and as you see, because I didn't have a foam behind my scrap paper, it didn't work all the way, so I re-inked. And then if you were quick, you saw that I have a diaper wipe holder that I put my chamois in for cleaning my stamps, and I'll tell you that's been a life changer because it doesn't ever smell. It still stays moist for several days, and I really like it. So I forgot to season the stamp, so now I'm inking it again after I kind of rubbed it on my arm to get the manufacturing film off. And there are tons of sentiments that come with the kit on the stamp set, but I typically do birthday, thank you, sending hugs kind of thing. So here's the blue daisy, I'll call it, that I sent to my subscribers. And you just lightly drag the stylus from the outside of the leaf to the center. And this is on a foam. Close to My Heart used to sell years ago, but it's a mouse pad kind of foam, or even the craft foam would work, but I would use 2 layers. So now I'm grabbing some of the foam tape that comes with those shaker elements, and I like to put foam on the inside of the daisy. It just gives it a nice little height to it, and I don't want to say it makes it look realistic, but it gives it some depth and gives it some interest. So now on the cutouts that came with the kit, I go ahead and push the centers down of the hearts and the flower bouquets just to kind of make them puffy. They look more puffy now. And on all the leaves that I'll be doing, I just basically make a bowl or a spoon shape out of each of the leaves, and I do that from the back side. So on the cardstock that has the 2 tones, I just have to be mindful of which side is up and which side is down, or if it has a direction that the leaves might spray out to the left or out to the right and I want them to go a certain way, I need to make sure which way I have my image on my pad before I curl it. We're moving into card 2 now, but I do want to say if you have more interest, I have a detailed flower shaping series that kind of go into the details of what tools I use to shape different things. Here I'm just cutting, I had used a punch to make some shapes with scraps, and I just cut it in half so I would have one for each card. And I'm just auditioning where I want to lay that kind of doily border, on the card. And it's funny, I think it's been a while since I've done some cards. So in the beginning, I'm kind of following along what they're doing a little bit of my own. But as we get further down the process, I feel my mojo coming back, and I'm a little freer and made some, what I consider some really small changes, but made a big impact on the cards. So again, I'm just gluing down that lacy border, putting the sentiment square over it. I wanted to ink the edges just so that it popped a little bit more. It just seemed a little too tone on tone for me. Again, I'm going to give the bird a belly, kind of bring him to life so he pops out from the page. And there's a heart, and I put these leaves behind, again, kind of from the back. I make spoons out of the leaf so that they just curl backwards, and you can have them curl forward if you want. Different flowers for me kind of speak differently. And I'm cutting out the heart that was on You're in My Thoughts sentiment, and I'm really glad I did. I ended up using it on a couple more cards as we went. So if that bothers you, I'm sorry I didn't give you fair warning to close your eyes, but I just find that I get to use my stamps more. So I did a dry fit with this llama and the happy birthday card, and then when I go to assemble it, I move the llama to the right, and I wish I would have kept it back to the left the way that I originally dry fit it. So just a note for you, if that's what you do, to be mindful of that. And here I'm going to try to stamp some second generation on the background, and I turned the sheet over that they sent because I wasn't sure if the gray would work, and it doesn't. So I got out the canary ink, and now I'm going to do the same thing again. So you stamp off once and just do second generation. And so now we're going to go for it, and it's really pale. You can't see it very well in the video, but I assure you in real life it gives it a really nice kind of distressed background, and with the sun and the canary color, it just kind of makes it look like it's a bright sunny day. So in hindsight, I also wondered about if I should have puffed out the tassels a little bit or curved them somehow, but I think because they're one-sided colored, they're not colored on the bottom side, I kind of shied away from that. And here you'll see this is where I moved the llama more to the center of the card, and I wish I would have left it back to the left side. So just things to keep in mind when you're assembling your cards. Going and attaching the rest of the tassels, and then I will put the sentiment, I'll pop that up on foam, the pop dots from the shaker card, and then I'll put the sun on, and this card will be done. And I chose the happy birthday, have a happy birthday sentiment coming from the llama's mouth. So another birthday card done. So this is card number 4. We're just clipping along here, and this one was one for welcome little one for a baby card, and I'm not in a place right now that I have many babies in my world. More grandmother showers are happening than baby showers that I know of, so I believe I changed this to a happy birthday card. I'm not sure, we'll see here in a minute. So one of the fronds that I sent to people that subscribe through me, that's what the bluebell is, and I'm just playing with it to see what'll work. I cut it in half so that I could stack it and make it look like 2. And now I'm just gonna stamp the center of the blue. I'm using that heart again, and I'm remembering to put the foam down. There's some later on that I didn't remember to put the foam down, but I realized it as I stamped, so I just slowed down and let the ink have a minute to absorb into the paper before pulling it away, and made sure to press it down well. Just shaping some of these leaves so that I can have fun with them. Glue them together, glue the background. So I'm really glad that I was using the liquid glue here, because I realized that I glued the banner ends, like the ribbon ends, too tight together. They needed to be spaced more, but thankfully I'd used a wet glue and it was still movable. So I moved those apart, kind of curved up the bottoms, tuck in some of the foliage, put the bow on, and we're going to be good to go. I'm really enjoying these Craft with Heart kits. They, 24 cards minimally, that are nice I can send out right away. It just really helps me be ready for birthdays or anything else that's coming up. So I sent those stars. It's a half circle of stars because I did a full circle for this card. And you'll see me later trying to figure out where to put it. And what I was doing with my piercing tool was just releasing or kind of running it around the outside edges of the foam rectangles that need to go behind the shaker card acetate, just to make it release so I'm not kind of stretching it when I'm pulling it off. And now you'll see me kind of auditioning these stars. Where do I want them? How do I want them? And I really like them on the outside, but it kind of takes away from the banner end that's cut in the blue. And so I decided, you know, I better attach these to the balloon string so that I have an idea of how big it really is. And you'll see that I'll get my reverse tweezers out and it'll hold the balloons on those strings. And I'm not feeling this, so now I'm going to try it on the inside and underneath. And now we're starting to cook with gas here because I really am starting to like that. I recommend that you attach your stars, if you like it this way, before you stamp, because then you know, I got lucky or I just worked with what I had stamped. But if you stamp first, then you'll know that it's kind of centered in that area around the stars. And I try to make sure that these foam outside edges stay as square as they can be, so I don't stretch them when I take them off, and I try to be careful when I put them back down. And I'm just grabbing my jewel picker and putting a few stars that are actually glued up in place so that when the card is stood up, there's still some stars in the background behind the shaker where you can see them. They haven't all fallen to the bottom of the shaker thing. So that's just a trick I do. And there was a piece of yellow paper that hadn't gotten poked out from the Cricut cut, so that's what I was doing with the piercing tool. Now I'm going to add my stars. There's a film on acetate sheets, so I get that ready to pull off. I pull off the sticker for the foam, and then I use the Tombow green lidded glue because it dries a little tacky, and with acetate or plastic you need that tackiness, or sometimes things just pop off of the plastic. So that's what I recommend. And then you can play with your balloons. While I'm watching the video, I wish I would have moved them a little more to the right. When I was making the card, I didn't like having that blue-green stripe balloon covering the center of where it was cut into points. So, and this is card number 6, and I apologize up front. I lost the end footage for the creation of this card. I also lost the full footage for card number, I think, 7 and 8. I was able to redo card number 8, but card number 7, I think, already left the building. So you'll see most of what I do. And I get out a shimmer brush here because, again, it just felt kind of blank in that big white area. And that was alcohol, just rubbing alcohol, that I used to kind of dilute the Lagoon shimmer brush, because I thought the Lagoon was just going to be a little too dark to have the sentiment show up on, on top of it. So I've used rubbing alcohol to kind of dilute my brushes a little bit, and it's never hurt them. I can use them again later and it's just fine, and it still sparkles. So I really like that. Stamp the sentiment, and I'm going to also splatter the front of the card with that Lagoon. And I don't have to make a puddle where I'm wasting some of the ink. I just squeeze it a little bit to get it flowing and then tap it, and you can see you get some really nice dots on that. And I'm going to set these aside to dry, and while those are drying, I'm going to shape some of the other elements for the front of the card. And I was going to pop dot the hot air balloon, and then I realized, oh, it's a bubble and you can have it protrude out. So I went ahead and from the back shaped that, and then I'm going to add some foam tape to the star here. So you just cut those with your non-stick Teflon coated scissors, and I really like those. I wanted to give the tag some interest, so I just wrinkled it between my hands. And then I'm adding the edge with the shimmer brush, and you'll notice that I hold it so the tip is facing, like if I slip off of the tag, it's from below. And here's the card at the end, how it's assembled, because again I missed that footage. And again, card number 7 is just done, so at the end you'll be able to see that, but it's pretty straightforward. I did shape the butterflies. So on card number 8, I rolled the scalloped edges so that it kind of flares up a little bit. I've seen that on other people doing those kind of things with fringes, and I hadn't ever really done it, but I like the look. It's kind of fun. So have fun with these kind of things. So then I just glued down the other pieces. The butterfly I am shaping from the center, so the center is down and the wings kind of come up and then cascade back down again. The leaves for this little sprig, which I use as the stem for my daisy, is just like I did all the other ones. Again, with the daisy, you pull from the outside edge of the, and you don't press as hard as you do with other flower shaping, because it's just really a small curve that you're trying to achieve. Add foam tape to the inside of the center of that daisy and put it down. I'm going to add glue to one of the leaves, and there we go. So those are off to the side drying while I stamp the wishing you a happy birthday, or whatever that sentiment is. Hope you have a happy birthday on that center. So you'll see me do that next. And it says have a happy birthday, I believe. And I thought about doing second generation, but because it's going to be behind the stars and part of a shaker element, I thought that it needed the black to be bold. And because I had lost the one card, I'm using the second sheet of foam that comes with the shaker elements. So I'm going ahead and releasing the backdrop for all of the rectangles. And I put the rectangle on first. Don't know why, just what I decided to do. And again, I'm just adding a couple dots of glue to add those stars so that they are visible even if all the rest of the stars fall down. And this does not take much glue at all. I mean, really a tiny, tiny dot. And then I just press them in. You let them dry for a little bit, and then you fill the rest of it with your stars. And I forgot to start the film from the acetate. And the only reason why that's important is I have been known to, get overzealous and like fling my hand and, scatter stars throughout my whole studio. Not that you would ever do anything like that, but I have done it, and it's not always fun to clean up. So this one, just putting the butterfly on, and I'm only attaching them in the middle. I got too much glue, so I just used my piercing tool to take that off. And I was showing you, I have a towel that I keep in my studio. It's just a microfiber towel that came from Pampered Chef years ago, and I have 2 of them, and I just keep one on my lap, so it works well for me. So now we are into card number 9, and this is a new day, so my video stuff it was a little cockeyed when I made the film, so I tried to rotate it in the video editing, but I apologize for the screen being a little tilted. So again, I'm just dry fitting the elements. The daisy and the brown sprigs I sent to my people with their subscriptions, and I'm just kind of dry fitting to see what I want to use. They have this all centered over that green stripes, and I kind of really liked that green, so I wanted to bring it down the paper a little bit, so that's exactly what I did. Daisy are the same. Gonna shape the leaves for my daisy to land on, and I was mindful that I wanted the daisy to kind of swing to the left, so it just mattered which side I shaped the leaves so that I had them going the right direction. And now with the die cut that came, I'm going ahead and kind of puffing out the flowers that are in it. The leaves I'm leaving down, and these sprigs again, just adding some interest. And these I had so that they curled up and not down, so there is a different look. And all it is are you dry embossing from the back of the leaf or the front of the leaf. My daisy is dry, so I'm going to put that on first. I really like those daisies. For me, that's one of the fun flowers that's easy to do. I will have a link, by the way, if you have Flower Market. I'm sure all of these cuts come from the Flower Market image set, and I will have a link in the description with the cuts for the additions to these cards. So this is card number 10, and I really like this. They had it just straight down, and I added the blue daisy and the frond there, and so I was just playing with it. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna make it kind of spray out like playing cards, like you're holding them in your hand, so everything's not so lined up, but a little more whimsical. And I am using the same sentiment that the Close to My Heart original designer did. I have a friend that tells me that it's hard coming up with a good idea. It's easy to make a good idea better. And so if you like my card patterns better, thank you. I appreciate that. But the hard part was coming up with the original idea to begin with. So got to give kudos to the original creators here. And these hearts, I traced outside the edge, and it kind of wrinkles them, but you had foam tape in the middle, and then it just makes them into puffy hearts. So I'm really enjoying the puffy elements on these cards. When I first saw them, I would say I was a little stymied on what I wanted to do, but as we were going along, I really felt my mojo coming back. So this is a brand new thread. I used up the last of my gold thread, so this is one I found when I was cleaning one of the totes with my sewing stuff in it, so it was a nice boon. And I strongly recommend that you thread this through the tag before you glue the tag to your project, but that's just my recommendation. You can do whatever you want. So now I am going to string the other two tags before I glue them down, which made it a whole lot easier, and I still struggled with the second one even though it wasn't glued down yet. So sometimes it's all thumbs. Today did not feel that way. Just with these tags it did. So, but it's still fun. And I use my tweezers to pull that back through. And it's just a loop, but with it being glued down on the card, I've never had a problem with them coming undone. So I don't feel like I have to have tape or glue or something. Some of it might depend upon the thread that you use if it's real slippery, but this one is pretty good. So again, I'm grateful that I had used liquid glue here because I realized that I needed to put those hearts in, so I needed to move the blue tag over so that I could move the yellow tag over so that the hearts would fit better and not overlap onto the other tag. So again, you can't necessarily see that they're puffy in here, but they work out well. And I just cut the stem off of that so that it was a little shorter for the daisy to go on. And we are coming into our final two cards. I ended up, I'll dry fit, but I ended up putting the foam outside for the shaker element in the too close to an edge, and so I had to peel it up again. I don't recommend that, but if you do have to do it, I took my piercing tool and just kind of rolled it along the edge so it brought the foam up gently. And it left enough of the glue that I didn't lose any stars when I shake the card either. So, and here again, I'm just gluing some of the stars so that when the shaker element is on, you can still see them. And then I end up going back and adding that heart that I had cut apart from the sentiment. Because I used the sentiment sending hugs, I decided that I could have some hearts in there, and because they were in black, they just give a nice, I don't know, they break up the eye for, they call it noise, I think, officially. So I added the hearts to make some noise in the background. So here we go, adding some more of the stars. And then I realized it's a little sparse, so we'll grab that heart. And I really encourage you to just, have fun with this. Don't put pressure on yourself. The cards are beautiful as they're designed. But if you feel that, oh, I want to do this with it, go for it. I don't think anybody that gets a homemade card in the mail these days is going to complain about any element of it. So unless you send a bill with it, then maybe they'll complain about that. So I do, again, use the green lidded Tombow because it dries a little tacky so that it won't pop off that acetate when it's dry. So I love these shaker cards, and the full front shakers are just a blast. So I shaped some of the flowers that were in the die cut that was sent. I was trying to decide if I was going to puffy the hearts, but I think because it's on a shaker card and already foamed, taped, I didn't want to do that. And the flowers are going to be sticking up anyhow, so I just thought for the ease of mailing, I wasn't going to have 6 more elements that were added dimension. So I just glue those again with the green lidded Tombow glue. So our last card here, I just added a daisy to what was already there, and I again just dry fit, see what works. They had the sentiment "You are so loved" on this card, which is great. I just don't feel that I have as many applications for it as a thank you or sending hugs, so I chose sending hugs again. I really like this design. I don't know why, it just speaks to me. So, and I decided to grab the canary ink and stamp the hearts again. Again, that just kind of gives some relief to the background, and I'll be adding 2 more paper hearts. So I was mindful of making my triangle out of the 3 stamped hearts. Gonna shape this last daisy, and I think I realized that I don't have a center for the daisy, so I have to go and grab it out of my extra cut pocket here. So again, I just roll my stylus along the outside edge of that circle to make it puffy, add my foam tape. Gonna shape my leaves, being mindful of which way I wanted the daisy to turn. I use my tweezers here to be my extra hand and hold that together. I've also been known to use paper clips. They work very well, or clothesline pins, any of those work. So I'm foam tape dotting the back of the bouquet of flowers, and then I'm going to interweave the daisy stem and glue it onto the bouquet to kind of give the bouquet another dimension. And this is our last card. I'm going to attach these hearts and we are good to go. I will put all 12 of the cards out so that you can see them, and then I'll do it one more time in case you just kind of want to freeze frame at the end and you don't need the instructions. You just kind of want to see the end cards. Cleaning up my space a little bit. So here are cards 12, 11, 10, 9, and I was trying to sneak 8 in there, but I figured I would do 4 at a time. And then here's the next one, so 8, 7, 6, 5. And like I said, I do have some screens at the end that you can pause them. So here they are. Here's the first 4. And then you can see card number 7 there. I did shape both the sentiment and the butterfly along with the flowers. I pop dotted those out. So since I didn't have a display for those, I am going to link the flower shaping video here instead of anything else. But I do have layouts and other card videos that you're more than happy to go and watch, or I'd be happy to have you go watch, I should say. But I hope you have a blessed day. Thanks for stopping by.